Pleasant good afternoon to you, and welcome to the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. It is Friday, the 7th of March, 2025, and this is program number 1333 of the Lunchroom. And of course, if you want to call in and tell us what's on your plate today, the number to do so is 452 3046. Again, 452 3046. And if you also want to use our WhatsApp platform, please be sure to do just that. You can call in or message in to 724 0008. Again, that number, WhatsApp number is 724 0008. And of course, we are broadcasting on both 101.1 FM radio as well as on Facebook Live. Just search for the official page of Radio Caribbean International. And please be sure to like and share that as well with your friends and family, wherever they may be in the world. Now, we also want to send out some birthday greetings to Miss Amy Malakan. Happy birthday to you. Hope you're having a fantastic day. And also to Mrs. Kim Joseph Springer. Happy birthday to you as well. Hope you're having a wonderful celebration. Looking back in time, and we go back to the year 1530, the English king of the time, Henry VIII, his divorce request was denied by Pope Clement the Seventh. In the year 1876, on this day, Alexander Graham Bell received a patent for the telephone in the United States. 1912, on this day, a Norwegian explorer by the name of Raoul Amundsen announced his team was the first to reach the South Pole, and that was on December the 14th, 1911, 34 days before British explorer Robert Falcon Scott. 1936, on this day, the German dictator Adolf Hitler broke the Treaty of Versailles by sending troops into the demilitarized Rhineland region of Germany. And in the year 2009, despite being only 17 years old, Brazilian soccer star Neymar made his professional debut for the team Santos. We now move on to our dish of the day.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
And welcome back to our program here at the Lunchroom. Now, of course, we're witnessing quite a lot of changes, and one particular individual sort of placed it this way that a lot of these changes, of course, are as a result of the the new presidency of Mr. Donald Trump. And it's certainly having reverberations all around the world, and individuals are commenting about what has been a significant shift in American policy, American foreign policy, but as well, of course, the policies impacting things like trade, alliances, and as well in the United States, a desire to realize changes with the budget and with spending and cutting back on expenditure. Seemingly, some of these things very much called for and in order, but in other instances, the individuals around the world are questioning sometimes the motivations and the impacts that that has in fact been already we are witnessing. Now, one such individual is a politician by the name of a French politician by the name of Claude Malhuret, and he was criticizing the United States' changing policy towards Ukraine, and in fact decided to take aim at President Donald Trump during a speech within the French Senate, in Paris. In fact, they were having a special session to effectively discuss the ongoing situation in Ukraine. And that speech has, in fact, become somewhat famous, or has gone viral, we could say. And I think we have a little bit of it, and we can take a quick listen to some of the translated version of what he mentions.
Jamais dans l'histoire, un président des États-Unis n'a capitulé devant l'ennemi.
Never in the history of the United States has a president capitulated to an enemy. Never has one supported an aggressor against an ally. Never has one trampled on the American Constitution, issued as many illegal decrees, revoked the judges who could stop him, sacked the entire military leadership in one go, weakened all of the counterpowers, and taken control of social media.
Center-right politician Claude Malouret delivered a speech during a general session in the French Senate, taking aim at U.S. President Donald Trump and criticizing the United States' changing policy toward Ukraine.
The American shield is slipping away. Ukraine risks being abandoned. Russia is being strengthened. Washington is becoming the court of Nero, an incendiary emperor, submissive courtiers, and a buffoon on ketamine, tasked with purging the public administration.
Malouret has served as a member of the Senate since 2014, and his comments reverberated around the world.
This isn't an illiberal drift. It's the beginning of the seizure of democracy. I have faith in the fortitude of American democracy, and the country is already protesting. But in 1 month, Trump has done more damage to America than in 4 years of his previous presidency.
Yeah, and of course, that is what many are witnessing around the world. And this concept is not coming not just from the left; it's not coming from it's coming from all sides of the political front around the world right now. Views effectively, questioning what is really the motive of the current regime in the United States, and of course that is having significant impacts in terms of where things are going to continue to go with respect to a lot of countries. Even recently, we saw an announcement being made in the United States by President Donald Trump, which was seemingly pretty positive towards the matter of new investment and back in the United States. And of course, this has been one of the claims that many U.S. politicians are putting forward, that they want to see a return to manufacturing, a return of industry in the United States. A lot of that, of course, had over the decades been shipped out, exported, so to speak, to other parts of the world, particularly Asia, and particularly that of the People's Republic of China, mainland China. But what we witnessed quite recently was a company by the name of TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, which is in fact the largest semiconductor company in the world of its type, which makes lots of really important semiconductors, particularly the high-end semiconductors, which are very important for, you name it, data centers and the production of a lot of the stuff that we now very much love. All vehicles, of course, they make some integrated circuits for that run these AI models, and so certainly has seen to be a very, very important company, and which was founded back in Taiwan. It's one of the success stories of Taiwan, founded back in the late 1980s by a gentleman by the name of Morris Chang. And that company has been seen to be a really important part of Taiwan's national defense against China. And the thinking is not that it is necessarily involved in defense related or military related production. No, but what Taiwan sees from companies like TSMC is what they have termed a silicon shield. Now, of course, these semiconductors are made from silicon, and it's a very important material used in the fabrication of semiconductors. And so this idea of a silicon shield effectively means that they have a really high value aspect within the global market chain when it comes to the when it comes to the global economy. They've got something that everybody wants, right? And so because of that, and a lot of these companies are based in Taiwan, and so the idea that if in fact there was an invasion by mainland China of Taiwan, that in fact would have a significant impact globally on how the world would be able to move forward. And we saw that being an issue just post COVID, with even things because you had shortages of some of these integrated circuits, of some of these chips. You had knock-on shortages with respect to vehicles and a lot of other products which depend on these integrated circuits. So that's the idea there. And Taiwan, in fact, I think accounts for nearly about 50% of the world market of semiconductors. So it's certainly a very, very important economic sector for them, but it's even more important from the perspective that it actually has global impacts. And so that now is used as a means of defense to say, hey, guys, we have this, right? So you need to protect us, basically. And that also has been part of the argument with respect to why China may very well want to actually invade Taiwan, because in fact it has been such an important player in terms of technological advancement and development. And so potentially it sometimes is easier to expropriate these technologies instead of developing themselves. So that's one school of thought. But the reality is as well, Taiwan has been a major investor in China, and just like the United States. And recently, that company, as I was mentioning, TSMC, the CEO there was over at the White House, in fact, making an announcement that it would be making an investment of $100 billion US dollars in the United States, I think specifically in the state of Arizona, where they're hoping to actually start creating their own production systems in the United States. Now, that sounds, of course, great for the United States, and it's exactly what they would want, a presidency right now would want to hear, that we're bringing in new jobs. I think it is something like about 20,000 jobs or whatever it was that they were saying that was going to be coming in as a result of that. And of course, it's right up the alleyway of Donald Trump, who wants to talk these big things about economic growth. And of course, in Taiwan, however, there were certain concerns in terms of this potential shift if there's investment being made in that sector outside of Taiwan. What kind of message necessarily might that be potentially sending to China? Is the company afraid that it's no longer going to be secure in Taiwan? Is this a backup plan? What exactly is going on? And so, in fact, there were a number of concerns being raised over in Taiwan over this matter as well. But the defense being put forward by Taiwanese President Mr. Lai is that effectively this is a means by which Taiwan is going to become more integrated within the U.S. economy. And so by doing so, the Taiwan is, and in some respects, paying its way and showing that it's a willing and able partner with the United States. And so it's giving back. It's actually doing stuff that is to the benefit of the United States. And effectively, it's part of their cards, right? Remember, we're hearing so much about Donald Trump speaking about holding the cards, right? And that's what Taiwan is able to leverage in this way. And it's saying that, hey, not only do we need you to defend us there, but we are making that interconnection in terms of investment. And in fact, the truth about it is, I think nearly 40% of outbound foreign direct investment from Taiwan is actually made in the United States of America. So this is something that has been going on for some time, one could say, but is being seemingly ramped up in terms of these current moves. So you can then see, of course, that there are attempts to somehow create these opportunities for mutual cooperation. And that perhaps is part of the argument that is being put forward by the Republicans with respect to minerals in Ukraine, right? And we spoke about that last time around, but it certainly is more than just even the rare earth minerals. Lots of other resources exist in Ukraine, in the exclusive economic zone, which Ukraine enjoyed in the Black Sea. Lots of oil and gas resources there as well. And in fact, that is part of the suggestion that Russia invaded Ukraine to, in fact, prevent Ukraine from becoming a major supplier of oil and gas to Europe. Right now, quite a lot of Europe's factories and homes are kept warm and kept running as a result of energy, particularly natural gas, coming from Russia. Russia has one of the largest reserves of natural gas in the world. I think it is, in fact, the largest reserve of natural gas. And of course, that is finding a ready market in Europe, or had been finding a very ready market in Europe, especially countries like Germany, largest economy in Europe. And so this war, of course, has certainly stymied some of that, because Europe is trying to find new sources of energy, and that sometimes might be a benefit to places like even Trinidad and the LNG. But they've been struggling to do that, though, and still it's been very difficult in that way to create that balancing act. But Ukraine actually had and has potential oil and gas fields that could be brought forward and could be developed, exploited. And that would have been, in some respects, perhaps great for Europe, because it would have brought down its over-reliance on Russian oil. And it, of course, would mean that Russia would then face a competitor within this market that they, of course, have been dominating with respect to natural gas. So there is, of course, a lot of economics at play when we look at some of these movements and some of these wars that are, in fact, being played out with respect to many of the players at hand, whether it is Russia, whether it is China, whether it is the United States of America. What I think, however, is very much very blatant at this point in time is how very forthright many of these players are going about it. And so when you have suggestions being made by a country, the president of a country, the head of state of a country that is seen to be and has long been sort of the world's policeman, the person who's supposed to arbitrate and to step in and to ensure that peace is maintained, or the free markets reign, and there's fairness in terms of how countries interact with each other. And we, of course, have seen that is being thrown out the window when you see pronouncements, as we have heard from Mr. Trump with respect to places like Greenland. And we've spoken about Greenland within the context of America saying that, hey, we want to take over Greenland. And many times we think about, this is a place that is 95%, 97% covered by glaciers and ice. And why would you want to take over an island? Yes, it's the largest island in the world, but, it's far, far north in within the Arctic Circle. Many parts of it, see 6 months of light of daytime and 6 months of nighttime. But it's of course very, very sparsely populated. And why is that a point of interest? And again, the world is changing. We're seeing the impacts of climate change. We're seeing how we're seeing warming of some of these regions, which is now reducing on the amount of ice cover in the Arctic Ocean. In regions that would traditionally would have been, packed with ice and icebergs and make it very difficult. You're now hearing of the concept of this Northwest Passage, of being able to actually, get ships through this region in the Arctic. And that, of course, is a whole matter in terms of Arctic diplomacy at play here, and Arctic geopolitics, if you like. And of course, Russia is a major player on it because they most of their coastline is on the Arctic Ocean and Arctic Sea. And then you also have the Canada, of course. Most of their coastline is within that Arctic Circle as well. So what you then have is when you go to a place like Greenland, which is loosely, it's an autonomous part of the Denmark, although they've been asking for their independence, may very well get it at some point. This is all about really the potential for defense, and that's that's one justification of it, defense, in the event that Russia decides to engage in a nuclear war, or China decides to engage in a nuclear war or any kind of war which involves missiles. The shortest path is, in fact, over the Arctic. And so this idea of having Greenland is about defense, but also about extraction of mineral wealth. And so that's why that has become such a big talking point for President Trump. And of course, but he's talking about, hey, well, you know what, we may very well have to, take it if they don't want to give it up. And the same with respect to the Panama Canal. And of course, then when the whole conversations about Gaza and the whole conversations about places like Canada becoming a 51st state, so that kind of talk, of course, is not what you would certainly not expect from the leader of a democratic country within which you find organizations like the United Nations. But when you now have statements coming from an individual who's now seen as sort of a co-regent, today we were talking about co-regencies. In the history of today, there was a matter about a co-regent in the Roman Empire. Some, are effectively suggesting that there's a co-regency between Donald Trump and Elon Musk. And if that may be the case, the other person wearing the crown is also suggesting almost that, hey, we should get rid of or get out of the United Nations. It's really an unnecessary burden for us. And when you hear those kinds of statements coming out of the world's most powerful country, it really is very, very, very concerning for the rest of the world, particularly the world that has very few cards to play and very few chips to be able to deal with. And that, of course, is what has quite often been termed the South. All right, Latin America and the Caribbean, Africa, and other parts of Asia. And so, very, very interesting times ahead to see how the relationships between these countries may potentially foment. There have been many attempts at South-South cooperation. We've, of course, heard about efforts at the level of BRICS, that's as being one means to which countries can cooperate. And we've seen an expansion of this loose arrangement. We've seen attempts by Latin America to create entities such as CELAC as a sort of a counter towards the Organization of American States, which has been more US-centric in its policies. And so as to whether we will see an increase in the rise of the gazes of these countries towards each other and away from the partners of the North, it will be very, very interesting to see how that, of course, will pan out. Because what effectively we're seeing is an apparent breaking of alliances, of long-term alliances, and that's will it mean, was this a small squabble? Is it going to somehow go away very quickly? Doesn't appear that way, but either way, it's not very clear as to how that will necessarily help the rest of the world. Because if you have now a United States effectively going away from responsibilities in terms of foreign aid, pulling back foreign aid, and that has had so many impacts, even in places where the United States wants to monitor its the political situation, like in Iran, for example, where there was support apparently for a number of human rights watch groups. A lot of that has been pulled away. So it's effectively eroding a lot of the architecture of trying to maintain social peace around the world. And you're pulling a lot of that away. You're now also saying to your defense partners in Europe, hey, we're not going to defend you anymore. You're going to have to defend yourself. And guess what they're doing? Just recently, Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, effectively said, you know what, we need to spend more on defense. And so we're going to have to find another $1.6 billion to spend on defense, and of course to help out Ukraine. But guess where we're going to be cutting back? On the foreign assistance, the development assistance that we provide to other countries in the South. So you're seeing that there's a knock-on effect in so many different ways. The United States is pulling back its support, and then it's pulling back support from Europe for defense, and then Europe is now quite possibly going to say, hey, we're going to have to pull back in terms of how much we're providing with respect to development aid to the rest of the world. So it is certainly, by the looks of things, panning out to be certainly a very difficult time. Those who are going to suffer the most tend to be those who have always been suffering in any case. And that, unfortunately, is not a very pretty picture for the developing world, which is already dealing with so many other crises, including that of the impacts of climate change, which, of course, has effectively, that agenda seemingly effectively thrown out the window as well. That's our dish of the day. when we come back, we are going to take in our weather report, and then we can return to take in some calls.
This has been The Daily Dish.
Certainly time now to take a look at the latest weather report as of 12 noon today. It is brought to you with the compliments of Island Style Talent Bath.
Island Style. We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, we'll have to make the right choice. Island Style. Whoa. We got the time that will make you happy. Island Style. Oh yeah. We make your dream come alive in Island Style.
We have tiles and king sets, pieces and ground. Everything you need is on the outside. For the best price and the latest style. Take a little drive down to Island Style car.
We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, quality price, service choice. It's all an Island Style.
Visit us at our showrooms in Bellarosa, Rodney Bay, on the John Compton Highway, Cass Street, and behind Ruby's Gas Station on the Library Viewfort Highway. So call us on 450-452 or 453-TILE. Island Style, Tile and Bath. When you think tile, think Island Style.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
Certainly, we now take a look at the latest weather report as of 12 noon today. It's the 7th of March, 2025, and the forecast to this hour is McLean Jean-Baptiste. The forecast for St. Lucia valid for the next 24 hours. The winds blowing between the east, northeast, and the east near 16 miles per hour or 26 kilometers per hour. The weather, apart from a few cloudy periods with brief afternoon showers, it will be mostly fair. Again, the winds blowing between the east, northeast, and the east near 16 miles per hour or 26 kilometers per hour. With the weather, apart from a few cloudy periods with brief afternoon showers, it will be mostly fair. On to the marine forecast for seas in a 25-mile or 40-kilometer radius from St. Lucia. The low tide for the Castries Harbor at 22 after 5 this afternoon, and the high tide will be at 20 minutes before 1 in the morning. The tides for the Vieux Bay, low tide will be at 11 minutes before 7 tonight, and the high tide will be at 13 minutes before 2 in the morning. The seas are moderate with the waves and easterly swells 4 to 6 feet, the same as 1.2 to 1.8 meters in open waters. For the Lesser Antilles, that's fair skies becoming cloudy at times with a few showers. And the weather summary indicates patches of low-level clouds drifting along a moderate easterly wind flow will cause some cloudy periods with showers over parts of the Lesser Antilles during the forecast period. That is, patches of low-level clouds drifting along a moderate easterly wind flow will cause some cloudy periods with showers over parts of the Lesser Antilles during the forecast period. And that's the official weather report. Join us again in the morning at around 7 thereabout. There's going to be another report from the Met Service on the station at that time. Thank you very much, McLean, for the update this hour. The weather is brought to you by Island Style Tile and Bath.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Island Style. Yeah. We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, we'll have to make the right choice. Island Style. Whoa. We got the time that will make you happy. Island Style. Oh yeah. We make your dream come alive in Island Style.
We have tiles and king sets, pieces and ground. Everything you need is on the outside. For the best price and the latest style. Take a little drive down to Island Style car.
We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, quality price, service choice. It's all an Island Style.
Visit us at our showrooms in Bellarosa, Rodney Bay, on the John Compton Highway, Cass Street, and behind Ruby's Gas Station on the Library Viewfort Highway. So call us on 450-452 or 453-TILE. Island Style, Tile and Bath. When you think tile, think Island Style.
And welcome back to our lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. It's about 18 minutes to go before the hour of 2 o'clock. And of course, if you want to call in and tell us what's on your plate today, please be free to do just that. And the number is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. And you can also reach us at our WhatsApp. That is 724-0008. Again, 724-0008. Tomorrow is International Women's Day. And we want to, of course, send out our best wishes to all women around the world, and of course, especially right here in St. Lucia, right here within our very own circles. And hopefully, of course, it's going to be an opportunity to celebrate the remarkable achievements of women, and of course, we know them as first and foremost, perhaps in the home setting and the contributions that they make as mothers, but certainly far beyond that in the workplace now, in academia, in politics, in every single sphere around the world. We are seeing women shining. We are seeing women taking their rightful place. And of course, also rewriting their own history as well. Interestingly, I saw a little video clip about, quite often, people go back to their religious context, and that was quite often used to sort of keep women in a certain location or a certain status, so to speak. And one of them, and this goes way back, right, to Adam and Eve, and and the idea that Eve was created as a helper. And that's how it was translated into the English Bibles. It was said that that's why God made Eve. But people are saying that the word, which is the root word for it, I think erez in Hebrew, actually really translates more to not really helper, but more like a rescuer. Because they say when it's ever used in other contexts in the Bible, it actually means a rescuer. And that kind of changes the whole relationship there. Eve is not just coming to assist Adam, but in a way was coming to rescue Adam from his loneliness. So it puts it in, of course, a different light. And we're seeing those shifts happening, and these shifts of perspective happening with respect to women, and rightfully so. And the matter of equality, of course, is very, very important. And so we, of course, want to make a special mention of International Women's Day being celebrated tomorrow. Now, we've got some calls coming in, so we're going to take some of them. Good afternoon and welcome to the lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
Yes, Mr. Calixte. Good afternoon.
Hi, caller. How are you doing?
I'm good. I want to make something, a contribution and something important.
Okay, go right ahead.
All right. It is concerning climate change. And when I remember Daniel Trump was talking about climate change was an error, he was wrong. He was right, but he didn't have right information. Let me explain what is climate change. You know the cloud that we see that passing above the sun is to shield the sun. You can see for yourself what I see. Good. And you see the first world country, that's where the country is cold. They have all manufacturing, plastic, metal, all these manufacturers in the, let's say, in the ice space, right? Now, and they polluting the world because then clouds don't hold nothing. As long as the thing come on top of it, they will go down. So now the sun have less chill. So the climate change you're talking about, that's on my mind, is the money they wanted to collect in a tax to keep in the small island poor. And the first world country continue it. Example one. What do you say? Come on, if you want to invest, come and build in our country, in America. So what the Caribbean going to do now? Of why IMF and World Bank have on their back, they're on the plate of IMF and World Bank. Now you have a little small discussion. What they're going to do, to your knowledge?
Well, I've been trying to follow some of the points you're making about climate change. I'm not sure that it's really necessarily just about clouds, caller, but the reality is that yes, in fact, it's somewhat of a reverse, because you have countries like the United States. They have been and Europe. They have been major polluters for hundreds of years, and it's been getting worse and worse as the population increases exponentially. It has been over the past how many hundreds of years. There are more people, and they've been expanding manufacturing, and that of course has been through the use of fossil fuels, coal, oil, gas, all of these things.
Exactly.
And that is, but the problem that we face now, right, is that even some of that has actually shifted. So you have the rest of the world trying to catch up, right? So China is in fact now the largest polluter, so to speak, in the world.
That's
right.
Uh-huh.
But then to be able to continue to grow, right, and to be able to enjoy a lot of the things that we want to be able to enjoy, it means that we have to change how we generate energy for our different things that we use, whether it's in our vehicles, in our planes, at our homes, through electricity. So all of these things have to now change. And that has been where the big challenge is, right, with respect to climate change. But there have been some who have said that climate change is not real. They just deny it completely. They don't want to believe that human beings are actually impacting on the actions that some of their countries are engaged in are actually impacting on the changing and the heating up, especially, of the world. And so that's where we have what we call climate skeptics, right? They don't want to believe it. Donald Trump seems to be a climate skeptic from all indications, because
as I said a while ago, maybe only what he has to do, to my knowledge, is to get agencies across the globe to get in where that his word was fact, and then it just means some information to go where they have to go. And then you're going to see, as he wanted everyone to build in America, that's going to be soon another climate change in his country, as the Caribbean going to face. So just get the reality is that's where you're going to be. Because all over his country going to now start to manufacture, try to get his own oil, everything, and all them things are polluted because they don't have. I see the way of have manufacturing machine without cost of fuel. And what about people like OPEC? There's a giant of manufacturing oil in the whole world now. If we try to change our vehicle to fuel, to more electrical and more sun and wind turbine and them things, I don't know what they're going to say, because they are the manufacturer and they collect in millions. And the Caribbean is suffer as a result of the price of gas continue rising, because just under excuse of we don't making oil. But we have a big price pay.
Yeah, well, the thing about it, though, Caller, is that oil and gas is going to be here for a long time, right?
Yes.
We're still going to be depending on it.
Yes.
But the idea is that we want to be able to cut back on the use of some of these fuels. So there's some of them that have been very, very bad, right? Like the use of coal. And then we've seen that, so the idea of, closing down or using less coal for generation of electricity has been one of the areas where a lot of these countries have been trying to make progress, right? But then even so, they'll find themselves in crises. Like quite recently, I mean, Germany found itself in a lot of crises with the situation of Ukraine and Russia, and not having that supply, and they had to then backtrack in terms of the use of coal, right? So they started looking at bringing back on some of these plants. So it's a very, very a situation where, of course, there are some of these long-term goals, but we're not meeting those long-term goals. I mean, there have been a lot of reports recently to suggest that we have already failed at some of these climate goals that have been set in places like Paris back in 2015. And what that means, though, is that the world is now going to be looking at extreme heat. We're going to be looking at hotter temperatures. That is going to have a knock-on effect right here in places like St. Lucia.
In the Caribbean, right.
In the Caribbean. It might very well mean more extreme storms. And we've been trying to say, hey, guys, we are the ones who are being most impacted. We have done the least in terms of the impact of creating the problem, but we are the ones who are going to face the consequences the most. And so therefore, we need some kind of assistance to deal with these problems. But that's where there's a bill now to be paid, and basically nobody wants to pay the bill, right?
I can see.
So
that's another fact again. Before you continue, I can listen to you, but let me give you another fact again. And that's another one. I see Africa try to do something. I know if Elon Musk going to get the information as well. They try to do a vehicle. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see they have a vehicle now can run only without no fuel, no charging, with some material that is only, I don't know what kind of material is there, but they charge without no fuel. And I even mentioned in Elon Musk that maybe as he has these space things, it maybe can be interfering to get an enjoyment in it. I listen to what you say about the climate change.
Okay, thanks very much, caller. Have a good one.
A good day. Yes.
On that, of course, well, things have to have some form of power source. So we of course would have to. I'm not too sure exactly what he's talking about there, but let's take another call. Good afternoon. Welcome to the lunchroom. What's on your plate today? Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. George.
Hi, caller. How are you doing?
Not too bad.
Wonderful.
Right, we're staying home. We're not going abroad right now.
Okay.
Now, what I have to say, my topic is, is a Sunday, I watched the UWP, and they hammering the SLP. They hammer them and character, decent character, that all sort of things would they going down on them. Now, my topic is, we hired a special prosecutor to look into the affairs of the UWP when they was in power. And he's there. I think he must be getting a good salary. But I'm not hearing nothing. Nothing as it's clean as a whistle government that was in power. But what I have to say is me they call Afweshi. Yeah, cooling Afweshi. Because in Afweshi, I remember Alan Chasney was what he was in Soufriere Town Council. He put his hand in the kitty, and there was 9,000 and change. And he took all the 9,000, and he didn't even leave the change that if they had a burst water main or a little slippage to pay people to go and clean. He took everything to launch himself in politics.
Well, we don't know that for a fact. I think you're referring to there's a civil case, I think, on this matter at some point.
Kenny Anthony asked him to put whatever he took there back, and he said no. What money in Soufriere Town Council don't belongs to Castries Town Council. And the case went to court. And when the case went to court, they took Alan Chasney to court for that 9,000 and change in Soufriere Town Council. And the case dismissed. And the girl that was whatever, the DDPP or whatever, she said, no, that case supposed to appear. That is some Kokomaka going there. She took that case to the CCJ in Trinidad. And they said, yes, Alan Chasney have case to answer. He have case to answer.
Well, I don't know that it went to the CCJ because
the case was misappropriate of funds. And it was just about 2 weeks before the election. And SLP lost the election. Alan Chasney took over. And you never heard nothing about that case. So what what that special prosecutor doing? Why those things don't come up? They're calling labor thief. Why that case? What? So I have to refresh the special prosecutor, go after these cases that's in cold storage or in the dust. You see what I mean, Mr. George?
Well, you're saying basically he needs to, go through the files and look at the things that have already been done before. I guess that's what you're suggesting. Well,
That's it, my friend.
I mean, I don't know, caller, about the special prosecutor. Well, maybe we can try to get him to give an update on what he is, where he's at in terms of his work. I think he did give some sort of an update at the end of the year, but I'm not too sure how much that was revealing of it. But I guess there is a process, right? He does have to go through a process of investigation. It'll be useful at least maybe say, hey, well, we've looked at certain things and we've deemed that, well, there is sufficient evidence or there is not sufficient evidence to move forward.
The CCJ find there was evidence.
I don't think it could really mean the CCJ. I don't think we remember the CCJ at that time.
Yes,
but
yes, there is a case.
Maybe the Court of Appeal. I can't remember that specific.
Oh well, you can't remember everything.
Yeah, but I take your point. What you're saying is that in fact there were matters that have already been brought forward.
Those things, while he taking the government, the present government, to court for CIP money and saying this, that, and the other, and himself have case in cold storage there, and the government not looking after. So,
well, I think from what I understand, I haven't actually read the file or anything of the sort, but the claim. But I think effectively he's asking for judicial review. He's going to effectively ask the court to make a determination on whether it is running appropriately, something to that effect, with respect to the Citizenship by Investment program. So that, I think, is what we're going to have to wait to see how soon that case will be brought forward. Of course, CIP has been a topic of interest, regardless of which government is in power. And again, the importance here is the need for good transparency in actually dealing with CIP, because of course people generally want to know, well, how much is collected, how the money is being utilized, right? That's really important, I think, for everybody. Right?
It is important.
Yeah. So I mean, he has his prerogative to take on forward cases if he so chooses, if he believes that there's something amiss, and the court has a duty and responsibility to adjudicate on such matters if it deems in order to do so.
Yeah, but you see, you cannot allow those people to hammer the government. We have present government. The present government is the best government I ever seen nowhere in the Caribbean. And now we have the government and they hammering them down. It's dirty linen they keep sending all the time. It's time they clean the linen because their backyard is very dirty as well. Okay, good afternoon, Mr. George.
Okay, all right then. Thanks very much for your contribution, caller, and have yourself a good one. And I'm not sure if we can actually push forward a little bit because we're almost out of time. But also just wanted to send out congratulations to Mr. Giovanni Santoma. He seemed to have had some success over in Dominica in terms of costume, which he designed over there. We have a call in on WhatsApp. Good afternoon. Welcome to the lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
Yes, good afternoon. Yeah, I just have a concern concerning the congestion that occurs on the road at the Calixte that leads to the KFC drive-through.
Yes.
I know. Yes, so I noticed. Okay, at times one wants to just go into the Caribbean Cinemas area.
Yes.
But you actually caught in that, back up there.
Yes.
So I was just wondering, if the authorities can actually put box junction markings at that intersection there, so that cars don't actually stop at the junction, so that way you can allow vehicles to exit out of the Caribbean Cinema.
Hello? Okay, I'm not sure if we still have that caller, but he was, of course, speaking about what has become a bit of a perennial problem
Yes, I'm here.
at Shock.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Yes, I was just saying. So I was just wondering if the authorities could actually put a box junction marking
Yeah,
at the actual intersection there, so
yes,
the vehicles will not actually stop in the junction, so
yeah,
that way vehicles can go around and enter Caribbean cinemas and also exit, from that area easily.
yes,
So I think
yes.
the markings will make a difference. The box junction markings.
Yeah. Well, and also, unfortunately, I mean, that would not quite solve the issue of traffic heading into Caribbean cinemas because there's still that
Yeah.
backup though.
Yeah.
So it might very well
Yeah.
need some redesign, but I
Right.
don't know who's going to take the responsibility of doing so
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
again, yeah, I mean, you and it's not just I mean, we are seeing some of these issues with drive-throughs. More and more people are using the drive-through more than expected,
Mm-hmm.
and in the United States, it's a similar kind of problem. A lot of people are you get these backups at drive-through sometimes, but
Right.
this one I think maybe some redesigning might need to be done
Okay.
as to how people actually access that drive-through. But
Mhm.
yeah, your point is taken though, because definitely the getting out might be sometimes be a problem as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, thanks very much for that,
All right.
caller. Have a good one. And we're going to have to end it here because we're a bit over time already here at the lunchroom. And so we want to again wish all ladies, all women, a happy International Women's Day come tomorrow in advance. And hopefully we're back again next week for another week of the lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. Have a good one.